Paul Perkins and LaShawn McCoy? Stay tuned to find out why we have them ranked so highly. Hi, and welcome from the Fantasy Football Prophets. Today we're going to be doing an abridged or a short overview of our running back rankings. Rob, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, once again, this is just our short and condensed version. If you want a more comprehensive and in-depth look on it, click on our other running back video and we'll give you a more in-depth breakdown of why we have each player where we do. But here's our just condensed version. I want to start with Tier 1. Christian, who are your Tier 1 running backs?
Alright, so my Tier 1 consists of 4 running backs, and you know what? I'm going to shock people in this tier a little bit. Number 1 is Elliott. That might be a bit of a stretch according to some people. Number 2 is Bell. Here's where it gets interesting. Number 3, LaShawn McCoy, and then David Johnson at 4. What about you, Rob? What's your Tier 1?
Well, my Tier 1 players, here's what I'd say about my Tier 1. First of all, these 3 guys should be taken off the draft. The first 3 players picked in any draft. Here's my Tier 1 players. Number 1, I've got Le'Veon Bell. Number 2, Ezekiel Elliott. Number 3, David Johnson. Those are my Tier 1 players. Those are the studs. You have no worries. Draft those guys and go ahead and enjoy your fantasy championship this year. Christian, who are your Tier 2 running backs?
All right, leading off, our Tier 2 running backs ranked at number 5 is Melvin Gordon. 6 is Devontae Freeman. 7 is DeMarco Murray. 8 is Jay Ajayi. 9 is Carlos Hyde. 10 is Todd Gurley. 11, Lamar Miller. And 12, the rookie Leonard Fournette. What about you, Rob? What about your Tier 2 running backs?
Well, my Tier 2, here's what I would say about that so you know my Tier 2. These guys are solid, reliable, barring any unforeseen circumstances like an injury. You can depend on these guys to produce very good numbers. Here's my Tier 2, starting at number 4 overall running backs. And my first Tier 2 one is LaShawn McCoy. Now, I was thinking about putting him in Tier 1. I do have concerns about his age. Once again, he's had some injury concerns, but he's a great running back. He could easily be bumped up into Tier 1, but I called him Tier 2. My number 5 overall, Devontae Freeman. Number 6 by J.I.J. Number 7, Melvin Gordon. 8, Jordan Howard. 9, DeMarco Murray. And at number 10, Lamar Miller. Those are my Tier 2 running backs. Christian, why don't you give us your Tier 3?
All right, here's my Tier 3. Here's where things start to get a little bit iffy with running backs, so I like to take them early and take guys in the top 2 tiers. But we're going to start off number 13, Isaiah Crowell. 14, Mike Gillislee. 15, Jordan Howard. That shocks a lot of people. I dropped him quite a bit down. 16 is LeGarrette Blount. 17 is Mark Ingram. 18 is Paul Perkins, followed by Bilal Powell at 19, 20, Tevin Coleman, 21, Spencer Ware, and 22, Marshawn Lynch. What about you, Rob? Who are your Tier 3?
My Tier 3 running backs. Well, my Tier 3, once again, they're very good picks, and they're considered starters. They have some question marks, which keeps them out of the top 10 as far as being elite running backs go. These are my Tier 3. My number 11 overall running back is Leonard Fournette, or Leonard Fournette as they would say. Number 12, I've got Isaiah Crowell. Number 13, I have Todd Gurley. Now, I would say this about Todd Gurley. I've got some serious question marks about this year. Last year, he took a big step back his sophomore year, and I don't think that was necessarily his issue. He had offensive line problems. Their skill position players were lacking. The quarterback play was atrocious. With that said, they haven't done a lot in the offseason to correct that, right, Christian?
Right.
And so I've got him number 13 because, one, he's too young and too talented to ignore, but I do have concerns. He's my number 13. My number 14 is Carlos Hyde. Number 15 is Spencer Ware. And number 16 is Eddie Lacy. And by the way, I got to admit, I like Eddie Lacy. I have his whole career. Can he stay healthy? Can he keep his weight down? So far, he's kept his weight down. He's looking good. So number 16, rounding out, that's my Tier 3 running backs. Christian, how about you? Your Tier 4?
All right, Tier 4, we're starting off number 23 with the safe, the man, the workhorse, the legend, Frank Gore. He's been in this league a long time, and every year people say he's too old to do it, but I got to keep him at 23 simply for consistency's sake. 24, I have Derrick Henry. He's a guy who could easily be in my Tier 2 should something happen to DeMarco Murray. 25, Christian McCaffrey. He stays up there in that list simply due to his ability to play and keep involved in the passing game. At 26 is C.J. Anderson. 27 is Eddie Lacy. Giovanni Bernard is 28. Number 29 is Danny Woodhead. 30 is Jonathan Stewart. 31 is Duke Johnson. 32 is Joe Mixon, another guy who could easily move his way up should something happen in that offense or that system. 33 is Ty Montgomery. 34 is Charles Sims. 35 is Dalvin Cook. Again, another guy I think he could really move his way up by the end of the season. However, it will take him quite a while to gain that role. And 36 is Latavius Murray. Finally, 37, rounding out this top core, this group of tier 4 guys, is Theo Riddick. All right, what about you, Rob? What are your tier 4 players?
My tier 4. Well, with my tier 4, these are guys that would fall in that category of starter. A few more question marks with these guys. So starting number 17 on my tier, number 4 is Paul Perkins. I like this guy. I think he could be a real steal, a sleeper. Once again, number 17 is Paul Perkins, followed by number 18, Joe Mixon. 19, Mike Gillislee. Number 20, Ty Montgomery. Now, I've got to put Ty up there because he's a starter, but I haven't drank the Ty Montgomery Kool-Aid yet. I'm just not convinced. Number 21, Marshawn Lynch. 22, Mark Ingram. 23, I got Garrett Blunt. 24, Amir Abdullah. 25, Christian McCaffrey. 26, Tevin Coleman. 27, CJ Anderson. 28, Delvin Cook. 29, Frank Gore. And number 30, rounding out for me in my tier 4, is Robert Kelly. So, Christian, why don't you give me your final tier players here as we round this thing out?
Okay, so I'm going to call this is my tier 5, but I'm going to call this the just watch and see tier. This is a group of guys. You're not going to draft a lot of them, but keep an eye on them. A lot of these guys can explode into big roles in the NFL and to be good fantasy players. Guys like Amir Abdullah, who've had career for a while now and been much of a disappointment, could maybe get over his injuries and really take over that starting role. Possibly would be a guy. Another guy to watch for is Kareem Hunt, could take the starting role in KC. Rob Kelly, maybe he surprises us. Maybe he holds on to that job, but if he doesn't, then maybe Samaje Perine could take over that role and be a star back this season. And another guy would be Jamal Williams for Green Bay. Like you just mentioned, we're not really sold on Ty Montgomery, so that's another position that he could take over and he could be a solid running back for. So once again, I wouldn't be drafting a lot of these guys, but don't ignore them. Pay close attention, and when the time comes ready, pick them up or draft them if you have to. What about you, Rob? What about your final tier?
So here's how I broke down my final tier. I want to say that these players are going to fluctuate. Some will turn out to be good bye-week fill-ins. Others have some long-term potential, and some of these guys will turn out to be breakout stars, although very few, I think. But here's where I think a lot of sites make this mistake. They try to impress you. They'll rank all the way through number 70, and let's just get real for a second. Let's be honest. It's silly. These rankings are done back in April or May, and so many things can and will change between now and the start of the season. And so here's what I chose to do. The remaining running backs I have, I'm going to give you weekly updates on the trends that they're making based on information from camps, injuries, performances. And so you're going to have week-to-week updates rather than going into a draft and drafting a guy based on rankings that happen that are 4 months old. That's silly. It's not helpful for you guys. So here's what we've done. Here's where I've got my up and down and what I call my neutral trend players. Some of the guys I have trending up right now that I really like is Derrick Henry. Love this guy. The only thing that's hurting him right now is DeMarco Murray's playing in front of him. He's about a year away from becoming a legit star. Another guy I like is Marlon Mack. I think the reason why is half the battle's opportunity. And I like Frank Gore, but the guy's 34 years old, and in running back years, that's equivalent to being 70. I like the same guy that you mentioned also there in Washington. I think he's got an opportunity to unseat Kelly. Kelly's a good running back, but he's kind of a one-trick pony, as they say. Jacquez Rogers, another guy. No, Jacquez Rogers, I don't think has any long-term value, but he's a guy that you could plug in for 3 to 4 weeks. He'd be like DeAngelo Williams was last year. I also like Terrence West for the first couple weeks, and Danny Woodhead, same thing. Guys that have trending down, Jonathan Miller, James White, Latavius Murray. And I think Latavius Murray is actually going to have that job for about 3 to 6 weeks. He's a veteran. He can do a few things. He's solid. But I think eventually he's going to see a decreased carries, and you're going to see Cook take over that job about halfway through the season. Another guy is Ryan Matthews, Jeremy Hill, Kenneth Dixon, Giovanni Bernard. Those guys are all trending down. Here's guys that I kind of have neutral. They haven't really trended up or down at this point. Rex Burkett, Jamal Charles. He's a guy to keep an eye on. He might have enough gas in the tank for one more big year. I like to see how he's recovered from his injury. Doug Martin's another one. When he comes back from his suspension, he's been hit or miss. 1 year he'll struggle, and then he'll have an amazing year. And so which one? which Doug Martin's going to show up. Those are some of the trends that I have. Once again, go to our website, check it out, or check out our follow-up video. We're going to get more in depth. We'll break down more reasons why we have these guys where we do. We'll talk about some names there that we didn't talk about here. Once again, that's our brief overview. And if you want to go to Fantasy Football Profits, that's profits with an S, you can go to our website and find out more details about this.
All right, yeah, that's all we got for this video. But like I said, if you want more content, click to watch our in-depth video. We're going to have some fun and make fun of each other a little bit. And I can tell Rob all about how his picks are terrible. You guys have a good day.